Hey there, Trevor here from Double Bill Movies. Okay, so I've got another big screen review for you. This one is actually a bit of a double bill. Not in my traditional sense, as it's not a remake or anything, but it's two different films. And that is The Offspring and The Woman. So there's the alternate art, and that's the one for The Offspring. And then we have The Woman there. So I bought this on Blu-ray originally, and here it is. Exactly the same, except it's in a clear case and the Blu-ray is not 4K. So I will show you some picture comparisons between the two. Now, there won't be a massive difference between the pictures because they're from the same 4K master. I think it was in the booklet. It said about the restoration. The booklets for both sets are exactly the same. The only difference is the black case, the discs being 4Ks instead of Blu-rays, and on the back of the slipcover that's got Blu-ray information and that's got UHD information. That is why there isn't going to be a massive difference, because essentially you're looking at exactly the same master. But the biggest difference there is would be the colours. The colours are presented much more naturally on the 4K. They still look great on the Blu-ray, but I felt that they were much more pleasing to the eye, and the resolution obviously helps. I mean, if you upscaled the Blu-ray, that's going to look pretty good, but this is definitely the best way to watch both of these films. And as I said, I watched them back to back. That's why it's a bit of a double bill. So The Offspring is first, from 2009, and then The Woman from 2011. So if you don't know these films, The Offspring is basically about a family of cannibals, and they've been roaming the coastline of East America, North America, around Maine and up towards Canada and all that kind of area. We follow a couple that have got a newborn baby, and a friend of theirs comes to visit with her son. There's sort of an estranged husband or father to the son in tow, who's actually got a restraining order against him, but he's decided he's going to come and visit them anyway, and he gets tangled in the mess with the cannibals. There's quite a bit of brutality in the films, and it doesn't show everything ridiculously graphically, but it shows enough. And there were some tense scenes that I was like, okay, yeah, this is making me uncomfortable, but it's supposed to. This means the film is doing its job. And you'll see in the pictures, I only took 3 of each because I didn't want to take too many. So I've got 3 of The Offering on Blu-ray and on 4K, and then 3 of The Woman on Blu-ray and on 4K. But yeah, there are some brutal scenes. So if you like your sort of, not torture porn, it's not quite like that. It's not quite like Saw, or things like Torture or Hostel or anything like that. But it's bloody enough and sort of gory enough that you know what's going on. To me, if you're going to do a horror film, you either make it suggestive where a character explains what's happened and you don't really see anything, or you show it all. Excuse me, I need to take some water. Hopefully that's better. And to me, both of these films do it perfectly. Now, I'm watching The Offspring, and I couldn't confirm this on IMDb because it doesn't say, but it looks like it was shot on film, and I think it was shot on 16mm. Hopefully you'll be able to see from the image, when I can zoom in on it, that is a really heavy sort of loose grain. And that's fine with me. What I noticed about watching The Offspring, now if it's low budget film, and it's the first film in a director's career for feature film anyway, that you don't get endless supplies of film or endless takes to get things right. That occasionally there's a very soft focus shot or even out of focus shot. And what I found this reminded me of was something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or even Evil Dead, where they are sort of starting out, and it's not they didn't know what they were doing, they just didn't quite get it right at the time, but they couldn't go back and do it again, especially because for film you have to wait for the rushes, which will be a couple of days later, and depending on your shooting schedule, you don't necessarily get the chance to go back and fix those things, so you kind of make do. But I really like that in the film. So when I saw these shots, it kind of warmed my heart in the sense that this is filmmaking, actual film, and it really just added to the experience as far as I was concerned. But then when you get to the woman, I'm pretty sure that is shot digitally, and it looks very, very clean. Again, the woman, also a very brutal film. So this is the lead character, the lead cannibal, and in the Offspring she's not in it that much. It's sort of centered around one of the other females, but the second film literally just follows her, and then a hunter spots her through the sight of his gun. Obviously he doesn't shoot her, but he sees her washing herself in the river, and decides that he needs to make her normal again, and he takes her home and basically rigs up a sort of a wire rope mechanism to hold her up, basically trying to domesticate her, and bring her back to sort of normal humanity. But he sort of has a bit of an ulterior motive, and we find out that this guy is absolute scum. The way he treats his family, I won't go into the details because I think you need to view it for yourself and experience it for yourself. And I found I was rooting for her. Now obviously in the first film she's the baddie, essentially, or one of the baddies, because it's a whole family of them, and it's not very nice. You're rooting for the humans, the normal humans, but in this film the tables turned, and I think that's a very good, I think it's clever that the second film, I guess it's a franchise now, does that. But you don't have to have seen The Offspring to watch The Woman and understand it all, but watching them back to back made it a whole better experience, I have to say. So yes, the things, the depravity, I suppose, in The Woman just spirals downwards throughout the film, but when it gets to, there's always a redemption part, and there's always, I guess, a final woman, but I'll leave it to you to find out who that is. Yes, two great films. I think they're both by Lucky McGee, and it's Pollyanna McIntosh plays the woman, and she plays the part extremely well. So they kind of got their own language. They don't speak normal English or seemingly a normal language. Yes, they've got their own language. So in The Offspring you get subtitles. When she speaks in The Woman you don't, but it's not necessarily plot relevant, so there's no need for us to truly understand what she's saying, because essentially her gestures and certain things imply what she's saying. But two very, very good films. I would give Offspring 8 out of 10 and The Woman 9 out of 10. I enjoyed them that much. So I had 3 hours of total cannibalism and brutality. they are vastly different to films like Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal Ferox, or even Cannibal Apocalypse or anything like that. They're far more sophisticated, and obviously they're modern, but they're far better sort of cannibal experience rather than it just being some tribe out in an Amazon jungle or something. These are a family of cannibals surviving in rural areas, kind of thing, but on the coastline in caves and that sort of thing. So absolutely brilliant films. Anyway, let's take a look at these pictures, and you can see for yourself the difference between the Blu-ray and the 4K. Right, these are the screenshots I took. So let's start with the Blu-ray ones. So this is the couple that we see that have the newborn, and as you can see, the colours look nice. They look perfectly normal. It's mostly in the night, this film, so I thought I'd get a nice daylight shot just to show some contrast. This is the cave where the cannibals dwell, and I wanted to show this to sort of show just well, how it looks, how dark it is, and sort of grainy. I mean, some of this unfortunately is actually my camera, but it doesn't look quite this bad. So yes, to my eyes, watching this in real life, the image is much better than this. Now, what I've found when taking this picture compared to the one from the 4K, which you'll see in a minute, that the Blu-ray is brighter. And okay, you might prefer that. Actually, the way this looks on 4K to me is much more natural. It's darker, but you can still see everything you need to see. I've always said that Blu-ray is too bright, and I stand by that today. 4Ks are much more natural light levels. You see way too much on Blu-ray that you don't need to see. But this is one of the very brutal scenes that I was talking about, and you can see the female cannibal there, rather chewing this guy's face off, I think. And he's a cop. He's a policeman. That's down here under the pause button logo. You've got one of the sons, and then another former detective who's been roped in because they can't quite understand what's going on, but he knows about their past and realizes that they've come back. They had cases of this years and years before when he was an active policeman. So yes, this is a very brutal scene, but I think it's a very well done scene and shows what you need to see, but not what you don't need to see, if you understand that. So that was three pictures from The Offering. Like I said, looks pretty nice, pretty good image. So don't forget, these are being oversaturated. Now you're seeing them on the small screen on my phone. The colours aren't quite like this when it's blown up on my screen. Now we go to the woman, and this is her finding herself a new cave because she's kind of by herself now in the second film. Now, one thing I noticed about this, and as I was trying to find exactly the same frame, was although it's in its original aspect ratio, if I zoom in to this wiggly stick and this boulder and the pebble, and then when I show you on the other image, you'll see the difference. I don't quite know why there's seemingly more image on parts of the 4K, but actually when I come to this sort of tree root thing here, there's less of this on the 4K, but more over here. So she's not as close to the edge of the screen, which is a bit bizarre. So somehow they haven't quite shown us the full image. But anyway, so this is right at the beginning of the film. and this is her in captivity, and you can see that she's well, she's munching on something. I'll let you find out for yourself what she's munching on. But as you can see, she's just about you can just about see her arms out by her side, where she's strung up essentially. And then this is the father of the family. He's the hunter. And so there you go, another daylight shot. This film's more in the daylight. There's a lot more day scenes. There are night scenes in this film. And yes, he is utter scum, I have to say. So anyway, let's go to the 4K. So there we go. To me, that's much more natural looking. It's a morning scene, so I guess that helps with the light. But and this isn't much different. This is what I was expecting to be quite different, but when I realised the Offspring the Offspring was shot on film, it made me sort of think, okay, well, maybe this isn't going to look much different. But hopefully you can see what I mean about the lighting being much better for this on the 4K than on the Blu-ray. And so let's go to the woman. Now you can probably see that this is actually brighter, and that's because of the HDR. There isn't that much difference between the brightness. It's just what my camera could pick up on my phone. So again, with the HDR, my phone's going to pick up the image better than without it, because it's much brighter. But hopefully now you can see, if I go down to the boulder first, no, come here, and see how much more ground is visible down here. But then at this tree root, there's less there, but there's more space behind her before you get to the edge of the screen. So I don't know what's going on with the framing there. Maybe I need to contact Arrow and point this out to them. Let's go to the next shot. So to me, the image just looks much better. My camera can clearly cope with it because it's brighter, but there's more contrast. That's the thing about HDR, is the contrast. Gives you more depth to the image as well. This is quite early on. In fact, it's very early on, to where the hunter has got her in this. It's like a storm shelter in the garden. And then we go to this scene, and then to me, just looking at the grass and the sky and everything, and his skin tones and his shirt and the colours, they just all look really natural and much more lifelike. So perhaps if I do this, and you can see the colour difference between some of them. So on the top are your Blu-ray images, and the lower ones are the 4K images. And you can see the difference between the blonde lady, how much redder the image is. When it's like this, you might think, oh, well, the redder one looks more natural than the lower one, which looks colder. But actually, when you're watching it full screen, the lower one is much more natural looking. So there we have it. The Offspring and the Woman on 4K from Arrow. So if you don't want the 4K, or you don't have a 4K setup, you can be happy with having the Blu-rays, because as you saw, there was not the biggest difference between both formats. And when I first watched the Blu-rays, because I have actually watched this Blu-ray, I was thinking to myself, this could do with a 4K because the picture is suffering a little bit, but that's just me. That's just you know, my understanding of how these images work and how they're presented. But most people should just be happy with the Blu-ray if you don't want to fork out for the 4K. But if you don't have the Blu-ray and you want to get these films, I definitely suggest you get the 4Ks. I think it was only about £25 from Arrow. So anyway, please give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe. Obviously the thumbs up is a like, but you know, it really helps these videos get out there, other people to see them. And the channel is slowly creeping towards 1,000 subscribers. I'm currently 25 away, so it would be nice if I could get there. And who knows what will happen after that. But yes, make sure you subscribe and make sure your notifications are set to all. So when you click the bell, click it again and then select all. And that way, when I upload a video, you won't miss it. Anyway, until then, take it easy.